Let's look at a situation that doesn't involve any numbers or calculations, but still incorporates the ideas that we need to have in a hypothesis test. So this story we'll call Joe's Lost Knife. It occurs at a scout camp some years ago, and at that scout camp, Joe lost a knife. It happened while he started here, which is the campsite, collection of tents and pallets, and he was making his way to the dining hall for lunch one day, and he lost his knife, so he says. Gotta believe him, right? Alright, so let's draw a boundary on either side of the trail that he took, and you can consider that to be the critical limits, if you like. So the question becomes, posed as a hypothesis, once a knife is found, we'll say the particular knife that was found, it is Joe's knife, and alternatively, of course, everything but that must be it is not Joe's knife. Alright, so let's draw a line like this and talk about scenarios. Okay. And you can consider there to be sort of like a sampling distribution around this line. This is the acceptance region, if you like, and this is the rejection region. Alright, let's say we found a knife here, close to the trail. What's the best thing we can say about that knife? Is it Joe's knife or is it not Joe's knife? Alright, so I suggest several things here. It is Joe's knife. I'll just say it is Joe's. It is possible. It is Joe's knife. It is likely it is Joe's. Knife. In the first case, it is Joe's knife. You know, that's saying with 100% certainty, it's a fact. It's done. You know, there's no room for doubt here. When we say it's possible it's Joe's knife, you know, the probability is Joe's becomes extremely small. Okay? It means it could be Joe's, it could be somebody else's. It's possible. We wouldn't put a high probability on that. If we say it's likely it is Joe's knife, that means, you know, we consider that it is a high probability, higher than, say, 50% probability that it is Joe's knife. Now, what's the best thing we can say? Can we say for a fact it is Joe's knife? Not really, because another piece of information I didn't tell you, that lots of Boy Scouts at this camp, they all love knives, and they all have similar knives. They all buy them at the scout shop, and they all look the same. And this particular knife was not marked up in any way to with the name on it. So the knife that was found was a regular Boy Scout knife, and the knife that was lost was a regular Boy Scout knife. So to say it is Joe's knife is really going on a limb and saying there's no other possibility that a knife like that could have found its way there. Okay. In my view, and when we get to the statistics, the best thing we could say it is possible. Okay. It's possible because, you know, it could be his knife. He lost one in that area, but it also could be a number of other boys' knives. It could be some other boy's knife from that week, prior week. Knives get lost all the time. Alright, now let's look at a situation where we find a knife out here. Again, there are several things we could say. We could say it is not Joe's knife. Or we could say it is not possible. It is Joe's knife. Or we can say it is not likely. Yeah, it is Joe's knife. Alright, again, we have these three statements here. It is not Joe's knife is an absolute. Once we say that, there's no room for doubt. Right? It's 100% that it's not his. Can we say that? Not really. You know, in actual fact, in the scenario, the knife was found quite a distance away from the trail. Is it totally not possible? It is totally unlikely or not possible that it is Joe's knife? Not true. It could be. Somebody could have picked it up, dropped it here, where we found it. So to say it's not Joe's knife is too strong. To say it's not possible it's Joe's knife, well, that's not true either. Like I said, it's possible. However unlikely you might think it, that a boy in our presence picked it up, we didn't see him, and dropped it here to be found. So to say it's not possible doesn't work either. To say it's not likely, well, that's close to it, right? It's not likely. I mean, we can dream up things, you know, a big bird picked it up, dropped it over here. Yeah, right. It's not likely. Okay. We can dream up a lot of little scenarios like this. In the long run, it's not likely that it's Joe's knife. Or we can say it is unlikely it is Joe's knife. And these are the words that we'll use for our decision rules. And let's go to another page. So the general format that we will use for a decision rule will go as follows. Remember, we have two parts of the decision rule, each corresponding to hypotheses. First, if, and then we'll use words from the problem, if we get in the acceptance region right, from now on, instead of saying we'll accept the null and put in quotes, we'll say do not reject the null because the null is possible in the acceptance region. And for the interpretation, which we'll now always include, we'll say something to the effect that it is possible, and we'll always use the possible when just interpreting occurrences in the acceptance region. It is possible, and then we'll use words appropriate to the problem. It is possible the null hypothesis is true. In other words, it is possible it is Joe's knife. Second part of the decision rule, corresponding to the alternate, goes as follows. If, and if we're using the words appropriate to the problem, if we get in the rejection region, in other words, not the acceptance region, so if we get in the rejection region, reject the null. And in its place we'll accept the alternate. And the best thing we can say to interpret that is that it is likely that the alternate is true, but we'll use words appropriate to the problem. So it's likely the alternate is true. And in our situation with Joe's knife, we can say it is likely it is not Joe's knife. For quite a while we will interpret our decisions in this way. Okay? Later on we will use different words, but the meanings will be the same. Very weak words and statement as to decisions for the null in the acceptance region. Stronger but not absolute words to make our statements to decide for the alternate. That's our decision rule logic.